Hello, YouTube, and welcome to a very unique Age of Empires 2 game. I've had this YouTube channel for 6 years, and I've been doing my best to pump out content that entire time. And every once in a while, there's either a civilization that doesn't seem too strong, or seems overly strong, or a player who's playing a unique way, and I really break that down and try and highlight what's going on. And that's exactly what this video is. You can see the title, and Viper, one of the best players ever. He is the undisputed GOAT, in my opinion. While there might be some dispute that he's the current best #1, Viper's been toying around with strategies for years, and he's notorious for that. He's notorious for being a great player in tournaments, but then in rated games, he doesn't really care about high elo. Elo's not really a big deal to him. He just wants to play, have a good time, and I think in his eyes, maybe experimenting can help him learn what's good and what's not in more competitive scenarios. This is... I'll have a little rant about this. Not really a rant, but a little complaint about this, which is not a big deal. But this is Fortress, which historically has always been played with Regicide. It kind of bothers me that the devs introduced Fortress to the ranked queue, but they didn't make it Regicide. I don't know. It's not a big deal, but I think it'd be a lot more fun for viewers to do that. Especially mid and low elo players having that Regicide aspect. And plus, that's what you tend to see in tournaments. But it is Fortress. There's no Regicide. There's no King to Snipe. And we have the snake here in the blue playing as the Sicilians, which is a civilization which recently came out in the Lords of the West campaign. And I'm actually, I realized that I could put a lot of time into editing this and whatnot, but I've been up all night doing Hidden Cup 4 things. So I'm actually going to do a quick little tabarooski here, if you don't mind, into the tech tree and out of Capture Age. And these are the big things I want to touch on. Castles and town centers build 100% faster. Land military units, except siege weapons, receive 50% less bonus damage. Farm upgrades provide 100% additional food, which is insane. And then the dungeons and the sergeants I'll get to, but First Crusade and Scootage, two unique technologies, also very helpful. And you can see their bonuses right there. Just in case you didn't know, I don't want to stay in here too long, and you guys came to watch a game, right? So let's make that happen. Let's play, and we'll be back in the match. So anyways... Sicilians and Bulgarians came out, and I actually uploaded some videos about that before there was a lot of competitive play happening. And these players are just going fast castle. You start with a bunch of stone walls and villagers in this map, so it's all about fast castling, so nothing really to touch on right now. And so, the Burgundian unique unit, and I will have videos on the Burgundians too soon, it seemed pretty janky, and then the devs nerfed it. But even before that, I didn't feel like Burgundians were top tier in competitive settings. Maybe on a map like this, believe it or not. But otherwise, it just seemed kind of meh. And then Sicilians, after playing with them and watching them be played at a high level, I also felt like, yeah, this Civ also isn't in my top 10 in most situations. And so I think Viper, he recognizes that, of course. He's a capable player, and when you recognize the weaknesses and the strengths of a civilization, you then have to try and nail down the time windows for a lot of things. And Viper here is up against Yo. Yo's had a very good record against him recently, actually, in various show matches and whatnot over the past year. Excited to see both of these players playing in Hidden Cup 4, March 18th through the 21st. Nice little segue there. Hope you're going to be there, YouTube. But, of course, we won't know who is who. We might have a good guess, but they'll be playing on crazy accounts. But anyways, Hun's a civilization, if you're talking time windows, that tends to take map control in the mid-game. That's where all their bonuses really start to shine. In the mid-game, a lot of civs need to make houses. Huns don't need to do that. In the mid-game, the cav archers are discounted and very cheap for Huns, so they can flood the cav archers. Their stables work a bit faster. And on a map that is essentially arena, as we zoom out here with Capture Age, you could just play this like arena and maybe make some scouts to take map control. It's kind of hard to see on the map itself, but if you look at the mini-map, you can clearly see where those relics are. And so, you look at the Sicilian tech tree, there's nothing too exciting about them. It's usually those unique techs. And I will, again, have videos soon where Doubt plays Sicilians on an open map, and I get to show you what Sicilians are capable of on an open map. But First Crusade being the first unique tech, when you research that, it's now 7 dungeons, 7 sergeants, your unique unit that spawn from a maximum of 5 TCs. And then the Scootage upgrade converts all of your food into gold. That's also a tech that has a purpose at a certain time. But will Viper be able to do well against the Huns. I've always felt like that First Crusade technology is a late Castle Age type deal. Yes, he's going to have the protection as Viper's making his buildings click up to the Castle Age, and so will Mr. Yo in a second. But yeah, anyways, what we'll see, right? I don't want to spoil exactly what happens, but really interesting approach in this game, and very well played by both players. Now, most people who watch my YouTube content, you got busy lives, right? And many of you might not watch my content all the time. It's kind of weird for me because I'm someone who only does Age of Empires and has only ever done Age of Empires. But occasionally I branch out and I do watch some other things, and I know most users, most people who watch videos, are not just watching Age of Empires content. That is not to say that if you only watch Age of Empires content, you're bad. All right, not judging. Yeah, that's great for me, but anyways, the point is here, I think I recognize a lot of you watching might not watch my videos all the time. That's just a fact. The math doesn't lie on that. So I am going to use these moments, especially this being a good game and this being a dull game currently, leading up to some interesting moments, to just say I've been spending a great deal of time putting effort into the Hidden Cup, which is March 18th through the 21st. It's a 4-day event, and the only reason we were able to reach the records we did March of 2020 was because of people like you listening who had interest and stopped by. As someone who once never used Twitch before and never stopped by a live stream, it was a kind of a weird thing, right? I'm going to have a lot of uploads telling you guys like what to expect and what you'll find. There'll be a bunch of giveaways, things there. And so anyways, this is essentially, as we get down to the nitty gritty, talking about Viper's approach here with the Civ, me asking, keep it in mind. Many people found Age of Empires with Hidden Cup 3 and they were like, man, I wish it would have been around there when it was live, you know? And so if whatever your motivation might be, whether it's not wanting to regret not being there or just, just wanting to watch some great Age of Empires, then hopefully I can see you there. Not see you, there will hopefully be a decent amount of people where I can't see every individual name, but got some crazy plans, and that's all I'll say for now. All right, Viper starting to make use of a few bonuses pretty soon. Right here, TC builds 100% faster. Compare that to Yo. Yo isn't even in Castle Age yet, but Yo's going to add a TC, and Viper's going to have that second town center pumping for a while. Now, this is kind of how I see Sicilians. I think it's a bunch of tiny little bonuses. Nothing that really jumps out at you except for that First Crusade upgrade. Even their tech tree, there's nothing that wows you and makes you think, dang, this is crazy strong. So keep an eye on the Vil counts, which is the bottom bar here, Viper, with the Vil lead, just because of the boomy approach. Now, Yo is going to do something which is more arena-like, and I'd mentioned this earlier. He invested into a stable to make scouts. That way he can patrol the map and control for relics, and then also added the monastery. So that right there, if you add that wood cost up, is something that he could have also invested into a third TC. So he's choosing to go 2 TCs and the scouts, as you see him attacking Viper here. And then he's also going to go out and get some relics. So I can't even say it's high risk, high reward, as Yo makes a mistake to go in here, rip to that scalp. But in all fairness, he didn't really know what was behind there. But Viper will take that. But yeah, like, Yo's approach is, I'm going to take map control eventually with Huns, so let's just get the relics. And relics give you a trickle of gold. So long term, Huns should be better off. He probably also feels as though Sicilians are not all that strong. But yeah, Viper's farms, cap trade doesn't really show it, but I'm going to tap into the actual game real quick. 564 food on this farm. I mean, that bonus from Sicilians is insane. And you really start to feel it with your wood count around, well, in this game, probably around 20 minutes. Because that's typically when farms are going to be reseeding with any other civ. But if your farms last a long time, you're floating a lot of wood, which means you can make production buildings or just make more farms. So it can lead to a really strong economy. The Viper did not make additional scouts. He's just got this scout here. Can see already that he's got a pretty decent Vil lead going for himself. Mr. Yo just chasing down Viper Scout. Again, kind of uneventful right now, but all this stuff is really important. Viper investing into the economy. And now he's probably racking his brain. Like, what on earth do I do against the Huns. This is Yo's scout. He's just camping. He sees Viper scout in there. I don't know if he's checking, but Viper hiding the monk and healing up the scout. And here he comes now to take a fight. Viper will also threaten Yo with a conversion. Does not get the conversion. Yo is saying, okay, that monk's now left the gate. I can actually show you what's going on behind there with this capture rage, which is pretty cool. Because Yo is doing the right move to send in another scout, but Viper senses this. He's thinking, this isn't going to be great. This is what Yo can actually see, and look at that. That was great play from Viper. And he's going to be really unfortunate if he doesn't get a conversion there. And Monk RNG is just all over the place, man. I've seen that conversion given so many times. But Viper does not get the convert. And Mr. Yo, 3 TCs at home, 47 villagers. Did get wheelbarrow. And Viper without wheelbarrow yet, but 56 villagers. About a 10 villager lead. He's now going to send his scout over. And as Viper sends his scout over to get the kill, Yo sends in 2 scouts to get the kills. And Mr. Yo also does not get the conversion. 3 holy men die. They didn't deserve that. But currently the relic count is just 1-0 for Yo. I think there's got to be one. Yeah, this one out here has got to be on the way back. Did Viper have that scouted earlier? I think Viper might have had that scouted, so he's looking for the monk. He just misses the monk. Yeah, he's looking around. He's really got some good value out of that starting scout, I have to say, and I'm very unfortunate. Still not able to see it, Viper. And it looks like he might not find it at all. So we talked about the First Crusade upgrade. And First Crusade is a unique tech you need to research out of your castle. But let's think about how that works. You research First Crusade. Let's say best case scenario, you have 5 town centers. This Viper goes in here to get a monk. Doink. Doink. And one more. Doink. Got him. All right, Viper will take that, I suppose. As Yo comes forward with the Siege Workshop. But anyways, you need a castle, right? But let's say you get that technology in. You get, what is 5 times 7 is 35 sergeants for free. That's a slow infantry unit on a map with stone walls. You produce them, they're just going to be battering on the walls. Especially now Yo's going to mix in some cav archers. I mean, you're not going to have a ton of success with that strategy, right? So, as I was watching this game, this Viper creates a sergeant. Here it is. It's I'd say an underwhelming unique unit until you get elite. They're pretty damn strong. But I was just trying to think of what the approach would be here, right? Now, Viper at this point, after losing the scout, he doesn't really know what's going on out here. He has not seen cav archers. He has not seen siege yet. And I really like the approach from Mr. Yo because he's up against Sicilians, and Sicilians can take map control late castle with that First Crusade push. Mr. Yo's got the relics, so this is a situation where being aggressive is good because if it doesn't work out, you're at least forcing a reaction from the Viper, and then Viper's going to try and take all that map control behind it. Now, this is one of many ways that Viper has used the Sicilian bonuses to his advantage, and I really don't think, there is very few players out there who would use this approach. Now, it's likely that you're probably not going to see Sicilians picked in Hidden Cup 4. If you do see Sicilians picked in Hidden Cup 4, it might be someone like Viper. Maybe someone like Doubt who's been experimenting with them and have prepared a strategy. But, point is Viper, he's one of many really good players, but he is one of the few good players who would go for this approach. And it really just, my jaw dropped a little bit when I saw how this started to work out, despite Yo's, amazing performance and Yo choosing to make what I would see as the correct decisions. Okay, so Yo is knocking on the gate here. Just one ram. All he needs. He's got cav archers. He can kill everything Viper has right now. Viper has a castle on this side. He's got TCs here. He could lose some houses, but he's not going to lose all that much. I remember we talked about the Viper taking advantage of the fact that the Sicilian town centers go up a bit faster. Well, here, Viper is factoring in that Sicilian castles build 100% faster. Now, I think this is a real balance problem. That is too fast. But seeing as Sicilians don't feel overall very strong, nice micro from Viper there. In other ways, which I'll get to later on, maybe this is something that's going to have to stick, because Viper's just going to run forward. Look at Mr. Yo. Mr. Yo's on the way to Imp. This is his point of view. He can see that. He can make cav archers. He could send his cav archers over as Viper's just used some sergeants to try and take out a ram. Pretty underwhelming, right? But anywho, as the ram and the sergeants go down, Mr. Yo can't get over here fast enough. I mean, there's only 5 villagers building this castle right now, and it goes up insanely fast. And Viper is now in the Imperial Age, and he's going to build forward town centers, making use of the unique tech. So, again, it's 7 sergeants created instantly from 5 TCs. Again, doesn't really feel like Age of Empires to have instant creation. Doesn't really feel like Age of Empires to have forward TCs. I think Yo might have paused right there to check the tech tree. But yeah, Viper just made these forward TCs so he can have them after the unique tech. But first he's going to go for Elite Sergeant. And while these things are a little bit like Samurai, where they're not that strong until you get Elite. Remember, the Sergeants can also create donjons. And you can create more Sergeants from the donjons. The donjon's like a mini tower. Viper sees all 5 relics in that monastery, says, thank you very much, give me. All right, he has Elite Sergeant now. Now the base attack's 11, the Pierce Armor's 8, which is pretty sick against Cav Archers for now until all the Cav Archer upgrades start coming in. Right now, the attack only is 8 for Yo's Cav Archers. And you'll see just how weak they are against the Sergeants. And Viper was just happy to take out that monastery just so the relics eject. Yo's going to make another one knowing how important that is. And Yo is really under pressure. And First Crusade is about to complete. I'll zoom out a little bit. And ready, and boink! Instant growth of Viper's military numbers. He had a 7 or 8. Now he's at freaking 42. So the units in and of themselves, it's not like a Paladin, you know? It's not like a Mangudai. Think of any unit in Age of Empires that you consider really strong. Sergeants don't impress me all that much, but what impresses me is the positions that Viper's been able to take using the bonuses of these civilizations, or this civilization, excuse me. Chemistry on the way, heavy Cav Archer even on the way. That attack is going to do wonders for the Cav Archers. And keep an eye on the KD here, because the KD is going to start to climb. But also keep an eye on the idle time. Mr. Yo will have quite a few idols if he wants to save them. Also, trying to get this relic right now, which is kind of funny. You know, pretty soon this will be heavy Cav Archer. Yo's still missing upgrades. I'm curious to see how quickly these sergeants go down now. I mean, the unit, what's it, 80 HP? 75 HP. It's not the most expensive unit. Seems to be doing quite well. You're starting to see the KD shift a little bit. Yo has a lot of Cav Archers. And Yo trying to get this relic back to his monastery. It was a good move from him to do this. Get it back there as fast as possible. Because he feels like he's going to be able to hold in this area. Now, look at what Viper's doing. Viper's got some sergeants. He's splitting up to raid on this side. Viper also is sending sergeants over on this side. So it's not just a one-focus type game. Really is spreading out the sergeants. And maybe, you know, maybe I'm starting to take my opinion back a little bit on the sergeants. They do really seem to be doing well. This donjon, just a bit of security for this area over the relics, I suppose, for Viper, who made a forward monastery. Already has one of the 3 remaining relics. And Viper running in through the gate here. Nifty little move. It says thank you very much. And I wouldn't be happy to be a sergeant because Viper seems happy to throw them away. But the way that Viper has been able to use the numbers here and just split up his units has really... It's pinned Yo back. Yo using his trebuchets, protecting his trebuchets. Yo's KD. Maybe it's not as impressive as I thought it would be. It's around 50 to 50. Viper just wants those relics. If he can get those relics away from Yo, and this goes late game, Viper could consider researching Scootage, which changes all of his food into gold. Now, that's quite nice when you're Sicilians, and your farms are going to bring you a lot of food, right? So you want to wait as long as possible. I am getting that correct, right? Sorry, Noobcaster, all these new civs. I just want to make sure I'm not... Okay, we don't want freaking Huns. Come on here. Procaster. Oh, I got it wrong! Wait, no, I didn't get it wrong. I did get it wrong. Did I confuse it with Burgundians? I'm so... Oh, I got it. I'm sorry. It's similar. Okay, I was talking about Burgundians. We'll touch on that in another video. Scootage is each team member receives a one-time payment of 15 gold for each military unit that they own. So, instead of waiting until you have a lot of food, instead what Viper would do is wait until he has a lot of military units. Whoops-a-daisies. Still, something that when he's starting to spam some light cav now might make sense for him, might be a realistic thing for him. And Viper, actually, I think he saved the monk a moment ago. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Oh no, the monk just died. Still trying to get these relics away. Donjon's not the most impressive building in the world. It's 2200 HP. It really looks stronger than it is. But still, Viper happy to just drop them and pin Yo in. Which is pretty incredible, right? Pretty incredible focus to be able to do that. It's wild how you can create sergeants from a donjon, and then donjons can create more. Now, sergeants can create more donjons. I mean, now back to my point earlier in this video. Imagine if this was regicide. Like, there'd be a king out there that Viper could snipe. It'd be so fun. And so as I was watching some of this go down, I was beginning to think eventually Mr. Yo's just going to run out of gold, right? He's making primarily cav archers. The cav archers seem to be doing a good job. Viper just building donjons everywhere. It's full control for the snake. You want to know what these red dots are, by the way. They're scouts and a monk. They've been on the minimap for a while. But this is also where, and this is why I don't see Sicilians as a top 10 civ, or maybe even close to that. Like, Sicilians can make use of their bonuses. We've seen First Crusade. We might see Scootage at some point. But there's a drop-off, and that drop-off has just come in for the Viper. The civilization doesn't have the best archer line, doesn't really have the best infantry line. They don't get a hussar, just like cav. So, like, if sergeants aren't ever realistic, if First Crusade doesn't do enough to win a game, you've got to use the economy aspect, like the fact that the farms last way longer than most civilizations. And then maybe the unique tech and scootage. And Viper's going to scoot his monk all the way back home, which is very wise, as this monastery could go down. And Mr. Yo, a beast late game player, is starting to push back the donjons, and the population is 150 to 160. This civ kind of reminds me of... I mean, there's various aspects that are different, but if you know your civs well, Sicilians kind of remind me of Malay. Malay options in late game are not all that strong, and they have like elephants that lack a bunch of armor upgrades. They have arbalest, they have bombard cannon, but you know, cav isn't a strong option. And then the two-handed swordsman only costs food, which is nice, but they're still two-handed swordsmen, right? Two-handed swordsmen will get wrecked by cav archers, or get wrecked by paladins. I mean, it just comes down to the cost of things and the resources you're able to save with their bonuses. There's many differences between Malay and many differences between Sicilians, but that's kind of where they fit in my eyes, as Yo's just camping the ranges, and Yo is the population lead right now. So Viper's got crazy production buildings out here, and if you watch Hidden Cup 4, notice how Viper tends to space out his buildings. He always has that one tile gap. Not that others don't do that, but in Hidden Cup, you never know who's playing. You're trying to guess as you go along. Viper's just hoping that he can trade against Yo's gold units, and here he comes with these skirmishers. Unfortunately, Sicilians do not get the final armor upgrade on their skirms, meaning they only have 6 pierce armor against heavy cav archers that have 11 attack. Skirmisher being 35 HP. They're going to go down pretty quickly. Now, what's great for Viper here is that he's been able to get 3 relics back to his base, and that Mr. Yo has not had a full-on tech switch into Hussar yet. Mr. Yo was so squished back here, he didn't really have space. He's even running out of wood to get something like Hussar. And Hussar would be the key here to be able to take out the skirmishers. And look at this for Mr. Yo. Kind of an awkward clump of cav archers. Viper's going to take every kill he can get. Viper just needs to make sure that he protects his economy. And I think 41 on food is something that Viper's going to be disappointed in. And look at this, man. He's going to have a little bit of a trap in here. I mean, Yo still could get some kills, but Yo is not taking out gold units, unless you count the gold miners. And Viper will take that. Over here in the north, he's got a castle going up for map control, so he can keep an eye on the stones and golds. Down here in the south, he also sees some stones and golds. In fact, I'll show you Viper's Fog of War in a moment here. And Mr. Yo is honestly, this is a misplay. I think he either needed to run away or attack that gate. Because gates that are not fully built can go down pretty quickly. Yeah, this is Viper's point of view. I'll just toggle over, and he can see a lot if you look at that mini-map. has a real good idea of what's going on, and now he's hoping to mix in some Arbalest. Like, look at all the skirmishers. Yes, he trapped and everything, and it's a masterpiece. It's still Viper's way behind in population. It really is crazy how weak Sicilians feel right now. Chain barding on the way for the Chinese pro, Mr. Yo. That rhymed. Didn't try it. But I'll buy... Nope, I won't. I don't think he has Hussar yet. Yeah, it's just light cav, but this would be the answer to the skirmishers. I think that's also why Viper is going to mix in Arbs, right? Arbs do a much better job against light cav. I think Sicilians also lack Thumb Ring, which is a big deal. And if Viper just doesn't know how to spend his gold units right now, Sergeants just don't feel like an option for him after losing so many dungeons and seeing the massive cav archers. I mean, look at that KD. Yo has 100 more kills now. And so Viper's going to go for Cavalier, which I suppose might be the best way to spend your gold with this Civ. And he certainly has the gold, 2,000 gold in the bank. Viper's still expanding his farming eco. Remember, at this point, his farms are going to have endless food. With 43 on wood, he really needs to have more farms than that. I suppose, in theory, you can afford to have more farms with Sicilians than any other civilization, because they don't have to refresh as frequently. Normally, like, 80 is a number that you want to shoot towards in these post-im situations, to spam light cav endlessly. But then you need to have a certain amount of wood to constantly refresh that. With Sicilians, it's not going to refresh all that much at all. You definitely can change your eco balance with Sicilians. And Viper now a little bit worried possibly that he's going to lose this side. So, impressive play from Viper to get into a lead, get those relics away from Yo, utilizing the Sicilian bonuses. But now we're very much in a spot where Yo is putting up a fight, and Yo is coming back despite Viper's best efforts. It's such a beautiful game to show the power of the Sicilians, but also the weakness of the Sicilians. And, you know, balance-wise, the Civ isn't super exciting for me, but also it's not exciting that half these cav archers aren't fighting for Yo, as he fixes that. But it's also, I don't know, it's just a weird civilization. I say props to the devs and exciting moves from the devs because there's a lot of this that seemed OP when I saw the Civ. And now I'm realizing, okay, there's certain aspects where Sicilians can get a lead, certain aspects of the Civ that can be OP in some situations, but good on the devs to give them some weird stuff like First Crusade and not make them completely overrun everything. Same could be said for the Burgundians. Viper sees that Yo's on this gold, and he's going to snag that. Still has all of his production buildings here. Yo just trying to trap down this freaking castle as Viper's repairing. Up to 60 farms now, but 316 units lost for the Viper. Now let's talk about Yo's current gold income. Yeah, I mean, even the wood income's rough for him. 4.5 hours of idle time. Got some gold income there. Maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 gold remaining. Might be able to take this if he can cut Viper off of this hill. Viper just trying to get the military numbers up. Again, similar to Malay, Britons, there's a lot of civs that don't really rely on high HP units. And they just rely on numbers, and that's what Viper's doing now. 68 military. Just 30 military for Mr. Yo, and Mr. Yo starting to lose some ground. So he's unable to take the castle out. But Yo, desperate for gold, has actually sold his stone. You know when you sell your stone in post-imp, that you're really desperate for gold, because normally you want those castles on various areas of the map. And it's a great vision from the Viper. I mean, you obviously got to appreciate the strategy to get the relics away from Yo and take this map control, but you have to execute as well. And look at this. Paying attention to this. This was all intentional to hit the wood line. And then he's got a group here, and he's got a group here. He's just going to starve Mr. Yo out. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. Like, I don't know, picking Britons and going for Arbalest would be with your micro. But it is effective if you're able to just buy some time. Mr. Yo, the late game master, though, does not want to tap out right now. Runs forward, snipes those villagers, and now is on the move. So he's in an awkward spot, really, where he has to have his main force in a clump. Viper can spread out. He can hit 3 or 4 light cav here, 3 or 4 light cav here. Yo needs to get more light cav on the field, I think, and Viper. See, look, worried about this region. This would probably be the better TC if you wanted to chop wood and farm with it. But he's just dropping a protective TC right between the farms just in case the area gets raided. And realizing that the town centers go up very fast with the Sicilians. Just the small things are very impressive, you know? Like Mr. Yo sending in Hussars. This is a good move for him. Viper now with how much military? He's got 80 military. Could debate of getting scootage. Mr. Yo has scooted himself on over here. Now, Viper's about to take Yo to school. University, university, university. That's right. Associates, bachelors, and masters over here for Viper as he is using university foundations with all the wood that he's floating because he doesn't need to reseed farms with Sicilians. And he's going to trap that beautiful mass of cav archers from Mr. Yo. And poor Mr. Yo is trying to move past here. The tree's in the way. Viper's his Cavalier and his Light Cav are in their way. And so many cav archers go down there. And that's huge. Because Mr. Yo doesn't have 5 relics anymore. Mr. Yo doesn't have a lot of gold control. So there's no guarantee that he's going to be able to get that mass up again. Took Viper some time, but he tracked that the whole way in. Mr. Yo, though, 130 pops. Still not willing to call it quits, but still feels doable with 45 farmers that he could push with Hussar. He's got Hussar. Sicilians don't, and Viper has a lot of skirmishers out there. I've seen Mr. Yo playing late game so many times. And you almost have to forget about the stats and just look about the way the game is going. Because Mr. Yo is able to find tiny little windows of space to maneuver into enemy bases. Like the fact that Viper's got this exposed, for example. The fact that Viper has this now walled up. Yo will find those ways back into games. Very dangerous player. But it is looking increasingly likely that Viper's going to be able to hold here. And get this win, despite not really wowing anyone watching this with the tools at his disposal. Now, I had some cool episodes over the years, like the Viper plays Teutons. Back when Teutons were much weaker, I might add. Viper plays Khmer, back when Khmer were weak. Most of the civilizations in the Viper plays videos I've had over the years are civilizations that were buffed at some point. See what I said? Mr. Yo running in this way. Viper has the TC there. Look at that food count for Viper. I bet you he wishes he was Burgundians. I bet you he wishes that his food would turn into gold. No, it's 15 gold per military unit if he researches that unique tech. I don't really say he's running low compared to Yo, but Mr. Yo is back out here. Mr. Yo is down here raiding. This is what I'm talking about. Yo's hitting the proper spots. He's in the back area of Viper's Eco. He's in the southern area of Viper's Eco. Sicilians do get siege ram, however. And so Viper, hoping to use his gold and his mass, push Yo a little bit back into his base. And I say into his base, but pretty soon, like, Yo's not going to have a base. Barely take wood over here. He can barely take wood over here. Yo cannot afford to lose ground. Viper also going into trash technologies, so he's going for Halberdier now. Selling some of that food for gold. And okay, here comes the unique tech. On the way, the scootage upgrade for the Viper, and you'll actually see this in action. And again, I feel as though Viper, he's calculated a lot of this. He's going to get some walls down. But it's been well calculated because now he's at 100 military. That's probably as high as you want to go. You want your economy to be at 100 minimum, I'd say. And after that upgrade completes, Viper now with a bunch of gold. So he can make many more rams as he's ramming down the siege workshop for Yo. There's a hole here for Viper. That's annoying. Unfortunately, the TC and the castle's there. But also, Mr. Yo is killing villagers down here, right? Telling you, Mr. Yo will find ways to come back into games, but despite these small raids, and I'll just show you what's happening as Viper is losing more vills. Viper's main force seems too strong for Mr. Yo to deal with. The mix of skirms and arbs ensures that both heavy cav archers and hussars will struggle. Yo will have to focus down the rams, and siege rams take a long time to kill. Viper has the gold now, so he's going to have constant production of the rams, and you have to expect the castle will fall then. If the castle falls, Yo will probably also lose the stables. And here, Viper also hitting the gold again, and Mr. Yo calls the GG and taps out. And what an interesting game. I think that this is almost always how Sicilians have to be played. Be a bit greedy with the boom so you can get to the farms where the food lasts longer. Take advantage of the faster castle building time. Get a bit of a map control lead. Use that food income to get the faster Imperial. Go for First Crusade and boom, rush with some units. In an ideal world, take the extra golds and the relics with that time, which is what Viper did. If you want to go for the crazy dungeons, you can for map control. But then you have to expect that you're going to lose a bit of control over the game because enemies probably going to have stronger units. I mean, imagine if it was like Celts for Yo and he went for Halberdier and Siege. What on earth are you going to do against that? I don't even think the monks are that strong for Sicilians. So it was well thought out for the Viper, and I'm actually going to pull up the timeline here, and you can see the time windows that Viper was able to take advantage of. Like, first off, there's the KD. It got better near the end for Viper just because of the amount of units he had out there, but the KD was not impressive for most of the game. The food count is just off the charts for a 56-minute game. He didn't have as much gold collected. He did, of course, have more stone controlled. Great vision from Viper, but this is the timeline I'm talking about. Gaining a lead here with a boom as the TCs build faster. Gaining a lead here with First Crusade. Falling behind in the mid game because after First Crusade, you feel like you don't know what to do. But eventually, just outmassing with what you can make and using that Scootage unique tech to just push a bit more with the extra gold. So from a balance standpoint, the Civ is interesting, and I feel like the Civ is kind of balanced. I'm surprised to say this, but like it feels as though the Civilization is balanced because if they had strong options and they had First Crusade, then it would be too strong. If it'd be too strong in every scenario. If they had Scootage and they had stronger options, they're going to receive more gold income to continue to make those stronger options. And then again, in almost every situation, it feels too strong. So I still don't think the Civ is all that exciting from a unit standpoint, but strategically, it is very unique. And it's fun as a caster because I can break down the time windows. And hopefully I was able to do that throughout this game. I think I'm uploading this on the 25th or 26th of February. The countdown's on for Hidden Cup 4. I'm really excited because the way Hidden Cup works is the first couple rounds are played as recorded games. They're never shown live until the main event. Meaning that if, let's say, Viper is, I don't know what his name's going to be. Let's say Edward Longshanks is Viper's hero name. And let's say round 1, he surprises and destroys the enemy with Sicilians. Whoever Viper plays in round 2 can't just see what happened in round 1 like any other tournament and say, oh, that person's going to do that. You get completely surprised all over again. Strategies are hidden all the way up until those finals. At that point, they would have seen some rounds on the live stream. So, like, I'm not excited just for Viper, for Hidden Cup, but when you have new civilizations and new maps, which I'll touch on more over the coming weeks, what's going to happen with Sicilians? Is Sicilians an actual option? Are Burgundians an option? And are there going to be all these time window strategies that players end up taking advantage of? I like to say window a lot. Time window, I think it is a good way of explaining how the game tends to work. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this cast. Listen, if you can't make it for Hidden Cup 4, that's fine. You might be tired of me talking about it. I'm sorry if that's the case, but truthfully, I mean, Hidden Cup 3 was the biggest moment of my life. I put in so much work for that, and it's my baby, right? And Hidden Cup 4, I've already surpassed the amount of hours put into it, and it's just like, I told my girlfriend today, like, I'm sorry, but this is everything for me. So, yeah, you're going to hear me talk about it once or twice. More information to come, YouTube. Thanks for watching. There'll be some qualifier videos if you want to see what's been going on there, as well as the big deciders soon. Have a good one. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the YouTube-only cast. And there will be plenty more if that is the case. Later, guys. Have a good one.